What if I told you that the single biggest reason most people over 75 are losing muscle mass, falling down more often, and ending up in nursing homes earlier than they should has almost nothing to do with how much they exercise, and everything to do with one tiny seed they have never even heard of? And what if I also told you that right now, sitting in your kitchen, you probably have eggs, thinking they are your best source of muscle-building protein, when in reality, a seed that most people consider a weed byproduct contains a concentration of the specific amino acids your aging muscles desperately need that makes the egg look almost embarrassingly weak by comparison. I have been an orthopedic surgeon for over 2 decades. I have operated on hundreds of patients who lost their independence not because of a sudden accident, but because of a slow, silent process that started years before their muscles gave out. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what that seed is, why it works at a biological level that most doctors are not even taught about in medical school, and the precise way you need to use it after the age of 75 to rebuild and protect the muscle that is standing between you and a life of full independence. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I am about to share could genuinely change the trajectory of your health for the rest of your life. Let me start by explaining something that most people over the age of 60 have been told, but few truly understand. There is a condition called sarcopenia, and it is the medical term for the age-related loss of skeletal muscle mass and strength. It is not a disease in the traditional sense. It does not show up on a standard blood panel. Your doctor will not walk into the room and say, "You have sarcopenia, here is your treatment," but it is happening to you. It starts in your 30s at a very slow pace, and then after 60, it accelerates. After 75, it becomes a full sprint in the wrong direction. Research published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia and Muscle found that adults over 75 can lose anywhere from 1 to 2% of their muscle mass every single year if they are not actively doing something to counteract it. And here is the devastating part. Muscle is not just about strength. Muscle is metabolic tissue. It regulates your blood sugar. It protects your joints. It keeps you standing upright after a stumble. Every pound of muscle you lose is a step closer to a hip fracture, a hospital bed, and a life where someone else has to help you do the most basic things. I have seen it happen hundreds of times on my operating table. I can tell you with absolute confidence, the patients who recover best from orthopedic surgery are the ones who walked in with good muscle, and the ones who struggle the most, who develop complications, who need longer rehabilitation. They are the ones who had already lost their muscle mass before the injury even happened. So understanding how to protect and rebuild that muscle after 75 is not a fitness goal. It is a survival strategy. Now here is where things get interesting, and where most conventional nutritional advice completely falls apart for people in the 75 and older age group. For decades, we have been told that protein is protein. Eat your eggs, drink your milk, have a chicken breast. And yes, these are good foods, I am not dismissing them, but there is a critical concept in muscle biology called muscle protein synthesis, the actual process by which your body takes the protein you eat and turns it into new muscle fiber. And after the age of 70, your body's ability to trigger muscle protein synthesis becomes dramatically less efficient. This is called anabolic resistance. It means that the same amount of protein that would have rebuilt your muscle at 40 simply does not do the same job at 75. Your muscles have become, in a sense, hard of hearing. They need a louder signal, and the signal they need does not come from just any protein. It comes specifically from a group of amino acids, the building blocks of protein, and most critically from the branched chain amino acids, particularly leucine, isoleucine, and valine, along with conditionally essential amino acids like arginine and glutamine that the aging body struggles to produce on its own. This is not opinion, this is molecular biology, and it is why 2 people can eat the same amount of protein and one person builds muscle while the other continues to lose it. Because it is not just about the total grams of protein, it is about the amino acid profile, the digestibility, and the bioavailability of that protein source. And this is exactly where our seed comes in. The seed I am talking about is hemp seed, specifically hulled hemp seed, sometimes called hemp hearts. Now, before you let any misconceptions stop you from continuing, I want to address this directly. Hemp seeds come from the cannabis sativa plant, but they contain no psychoactive compounds whatsoever, no THC, no CBD in meaningful amounts. They are a legal FDA-recognized food that you can buy in virtually any grocery store or online. They taste like a mild, slightly nutty sunflower seed. And from a pure nutritional biochemistry standpoint, they are unlike almost anything else available in the natural food world, particularly for the aging musculoskeletal system. Here is what makes hemp seeds so extraordinary in the context of muscle building after 75. A single 3 tablespoon serving of hulled hemp seeds, which weighs about 30 grams, contains approximately 10 grams of complete protein. Now, on the surface, that sounds similar to other seeds. But the comparison stops there because the amino acid profile of hemp seed protein is unlike almost any other plant source. Hemp seeds contain all 9 essential amino acids in ratios that closely mirror the profile recommended by the World Health Organization for Human Nutrition. They are particularly dense in arginine. In fact, hemp seeds have one of the highest arginine to total protein ratios of any food on earth. Why does arginine matter for your muscles after 75? Because arginine is a precursor to nitric oxide in the body, and nitric oxide is the compound responsible for vasodilation, widening your blood vessels and increasing blood flow to your muscle tissue. When you are 75 and trying to rebuild muscle, one of the hidden obstacles is that blood flow to peripheral muscle tissue decreases with age. Your muscles are not getting the nutrients, oxygen, and amino acids they need even when you eat them. Arginine-rich hemp seeds help solve that exact problem at the circulatory level. No other common protein food, not eggs, not chicken, not whey protein, comes close to the arginine density of hemp seeds. But it gets more specific than that. Hemp seed protein is approximately 65% edestin, a globular protein found almost nowhere else in the food supply. Edestin is structurally very similar to the proteins found in human blood plasma, which means your body recognizes it and processes it with extraordinary efficiency. Unlike casein from dairy, which forms a gel in your stomach and digests slowly, or certain plant proteins that contain anti-nutritional factors that block absorption, edestin moves through your digestive system with remarkable speed and bioavailability. For an older adult whose digestive capacity has declined, and after 75, stomach acid production, enzyme activity, and gut motility all decrease. This means the protein from hemp seeds is actually getting absorbed and used, rather than partially lost in transit. Now let me address the egg comparison that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, because I want to be precise about this so there is no misunderstanding. Eggs are an excellent food. The leucine content in eggs is solid. The bioavailability of egg protein is high. I am not telling you to stop eating eggs. What I am saying is this. When you look at specific amino acids, particularly arginine, glutamine, and the sulfur-containing amino acids like cysteine and methionine, in the context of muscle repair, joint health, and anti-inflammatory response in an aging body, hemp seeds deliver a combination and concentration of these compounds that eggs simply cannot match. Especially when you factor in that hemp seeds also deliver a near-perfect ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids, specifically in the form of alpha-linolenic acid and gamma-linolenic acid. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the primary drivers of muscle degradation after 70. The anti-inflammatory fatty acid profile in hemp seeds works in concert with the amino acids to create an environment in your muscle tissue where rebuilding is actually possible. Eggs are anti-inflammatory to a degree, but hemp seeds deliver a fatty acid profile that directly targets the inflammatory cascade in a way that very few foods can replicate. So at this point, you might be asking, okay, I understand the science, but what does this actually look like in practice? How do I use hemp seeds? How much do I need? When do I eat them? These are exactly the right questions, and I want to give you practical, specific answers because information without application is useless. The first thing I recommend to any patient over 75 who is looking to support muscle mass is to aim for at least 3 tablespoons of hulled hemp seeds per day. You can split this across 2 servings if you prefer, perhaps one in the morning and one in the afternoon. The most important window, from a muscle biology standpoint, is the period around physical activity. If you do any form of exercise, even a 20-minute walk, some resistance band work, or lightweight training, consuming hemp seeds within 30 to 60 minutes after that activity gives your muscle tissue the amino acid flood it needs during the repair window. This is when muscle protein synthesis is most active, and this is when the bioavailability of hemp's edestin protein has the most impact. The second thing to know is how to actually incorporate them. Hemp seeds have almost no strong flavor on their own. You can add them to a morning smoothie and never taste them. You can stir them into oatmeal or yogurt. You can sprinkle them on a salad. You can blend them into a protein shake. Some people even mix them into ground meat before cooking. The flexibility of hemp seeds is part of what makes them so easy to be consistent with, and consistency is absolutely everything when it comes to rebuilding muscle after 75. One day of good nutrition does nothing. It is the accumulation of daily, consistent amino acid availability that moves the needle on muscle mass over weeks and months. Now, I also want to talk about what not to do, because there are a few common mistakes I see people make when they start adding hemp seeds to their diet. The first mistake is expecting rapid results and stopping too soon. Muscle protein synthesis in people over 75 is slower than it is in younger people. That is the biology. You should not expect to see noticeable changes in 2 weeks. You are looking at a 6 to 12 week minimum before the functional results. Better strength, better balance, better energy become clearly measurable. Stay consistent. The process is working even when you cannot see it yet. The second mistake is treating hemp seeds as a replacement for all other protein sources. They are not meant to replace your entire diet. They are meant to supplement it, specifically to fill in the amino acid and fatty acid gaps that typical diets for people over 75 tend to have. You still want to be eating lean meats, fish, eggs, legumes, and dairy if you tolerate it. Hemp seeds are the strategic addition that addresses the specific biological vulnerabilities of muscle aging, not the singular solution to all of them. The third mistake is buying the wrong product. There is a meaningful difference between whole hemp seeds with the hull on and hulled hemp hearts. The hulled version, hemp hearts, has a much higher protein density per serving and is far more digestible. The hull is primarily fiber and can actually reduce the absorption of the protein content if consumed in large quantities. For muscle building purposes specifically, buy the hulled hemp hearts. Make sure you are purchasing from a reputable brand that third-party tests for purity, because as with any food supplement, quality varies. I also want to address something that comes up frequently when I discuss this topic. What about protein powders? The market is flooded with hemp protein powder, and patients often ask me whether the powder is equivalent to the whole seed. My answer is nuanced. Hemp protein powder is a fine product, and it does concentrate the protein per gram effectively. But whole hemp hearts retain the gamma-linolenic acid and the omega fatty acid complex that gets partially degraded during the processing and heating involved in making protein powder. If your primary goal is the muscle-building amino acid delivery alongside the anti-inflammatory support, which is the complete picture for aging muscles, the whole hemp hearts are the superior choice. Let me also take a moment to talk about something I rarely hear discussed in mainstream health content, which is the role of glycine in aging muscle tissue. Glycine is a conditionally essential amino acid, meaning your body can make some of it, but not always enough, especially under physiological stress or during aging. Glycine is critical for the synthesis of creatine in the body, which in turn fuels the rapid energy production in muscle cells. Glycine is also essential for collagen synthesis, and since your tendons, ligaments, and the connective tissue surrounding your muscles are largely collagen-based structures, the quality of those structures directly affects your functional strength and your injury risk. Hemp seeds are a meaningful source of glycine, adding yet another layer to why their amino acid profile is so particularly well suited to the aging musculoskeletal system. This is not a nutrient you hear about at the dinner table, but it is one that orthopedic surgeons think about every single day when we look at a patient's tissue quality during surgery. One more thing I want to be honest about, because I believe in giving you complete information. Hemp seeds are not a magic cure. They are a powerful nutritional tool. But nutrition alone, without some form of physical stimulus to the muscle, will not produce the results you are looking for. Your muscles need to be challenged, even gently, to respond to the amino acid signals. This does not mean you need to be lifting heavy weights or spending hours in a gym. For people over 75, resistance-based movement is ideal. This can mean bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, water aerobics, or even loaded household tasks. The key is progressive overload, gradually increasing the challenge on your muscles over time so they continue to adapt. When you combine that physical stimulus with the amino acid availability that hemp seeds provide, you create the two conditions that muscle protein synthesis requires, the signal and the raw materials. Remove either one and the process stalls. Have both, and the results can be genuinely remarkable even well into your 80s. I have watched patients in their late 70s and early 80s dramatically improve their functional strength, their gait stability, and their post-surgical recovery outcomes by taking muscle nutrition seriously. It is never too late. The biology does not shut down. It just needs the right inputs with more intention than it did when you were younger. And that intention, applied consistently, is what separates people who age with independence and vitality from those who gradually surrender it. To bring everything together, after the age of 75, your muscles face a perfect storm of anabolic resistance, reduced blood flow, chronic inflammation, and declining digestive efficiency, all of which make standard protein sources increasingly inadequate for maintaining and rebuilding muscle. Hemp seeds, specifically hulled hemp hearts, provide a rare combination of edestin protein with exceptional bioavailability, a complete essential amino acid profile with uniquely high arginine and glycine content, and an anti-inflammatory omega fatty acid ratio that works synergistically to overcome the exact biological barriers that aging muscles face. 3 tablespoons a day, consumed consistently and timed around physical activity, is the practical protocol that translates this science into real results for your body. If you found this information valuable, and I genuinely hope it gives you a new tool in the fight to protect your independence and quality of life, please make sure to subscribe to this channel so you never miss content like this. Give this video a like so it reaches more people who need to hear it, and drop a comment below telling me what health topic you want me to cover next. Your questions and your experiences are what drive this channel forward, and I read every single comment. Your health at every age matters, and you deserve information that actually moves the needle.